Yeah.
This is Geek Therapy Radio.
What are we waiting for?
And now your mental curator, Johnny Hamburger.
Coots. Everybody knew my name. I don't want to keep that in there.
That's the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. Just you celebrating the fact that everyone was aware of your name. That's like a wonderful musical. And you come in and it's just like the opening song and nobody knows what the musical is about. And it turns out it's just about you being excited that people remembered your name.
Welcome to the show. You all know who I am. But who are you?
Jesus, I'm dying. I'm dying.
You know what? I'm gonna keep that in there. I'm just gonna account this as already rolling because that's just the way it is.
I'm sold.
Okay.
I'd like to buy your radio show.
Well, great. For those just joining us, this is called Geek Therapy Radio. I'm Johnny Hamburger, your mental curator. And this is Midweek Geek. And who breast to have on my show this week than my longtime childhood butt buddy, bosom friend,
Buzzers.
Bird Peterson. I know him as Andrew Hoke, but you know his name. It's it's Bird Peterson. Andrew, how are you doing on this angelic afternoon?
I am so dainty this afternoon. I went for a long run. Part of my whole let's take about 20 pounds of fat off the front and add it to the lower front. And so it's a combo of going for runs and doing some kegels.
If you do butt kegels, are they bagels? Buggles? Buggles?
Bagels.
Bagels.
They're bagels. Yeah.
Okay, so butt kegels are bagels.
Beagles.
So what are the benefits? You know, I said we were going to talk about some music production. Perhaps we'll get to that. But let's talk
get to that later.
Let's talk about butt production and what is the benefit to getting a good bagel?
So there's actually a multitude of benefits. I'd say the first one is the general malaise that you get in life from walking around with a loose bee. Once you've strengthened that and you hit the streets, like, first off, people are going to notice it in that personality. They're going to say, this guy obviously knows what he's doing. He obviously has been doing the kind of things that are going to, get it in proper tone.
And they
if
already
you're lucky,
and they
they'll
already
ask.
And they already know your name.
Yes, exactly. As I'm walking down the street, they're all going, woo, and they know me. I don't have to wear a name tag. They know me, and they know what I've been about in the past.
And they know.
So when they see me now, they know they knew that they knew I never knew that they knew.
They know that I never knew that you never get to do the things that you didn't want to do.
I never wanted to say that, and now I'm not going to never say it, not again.
Well, that sounds like a motto you can run on. Andrew Hoke,
that's my mod.
2020 presidency. He'll be handing out the bagels.
Look, I'm not ready for 2020. Give me 2024. Screw it. Give me the 22 midterms. I'll just come in and pretend like I'm running for president in the midterms.
And your platform are butt kegels, and you'll be handing out the bagels.
Bagels and kegels. You know what? I would like to. We were going to discuss music production.
Let's
get into it, and I'm gonna derail this thing instantly.
Let's just remember, keep it PG or at least PG-13.
Okay. My issue here is that I am I've made countless records, but I do it all in a hodgepodge
Yeah.
of things. I use everything from some busted 2020 speakers, some Alesis sweet reference amps, and then you go in and you're using your M audios and you're using your Sonatus and you're with your Rob Papin brand Predators.
Oh.
But once you start flipping it all around, I think the worst thing you can do is just come out and tell everybody how you get the magic noise.
What's the magic noise?
The magic noise of so being a contributor of music to this show, you've been subjecting your listeners to the magic noise for a long time.
Yes.
And so I feel like so the other night, somebody sends me a screenshot. My remix of Daft Punk was playing on Sirius XM.
Ooh.
And of all places, it was playing on one of the rock channels. So it's officially played on like 3 channels there, and I don't understand the third one. But I looked at that and I said to myself, I don't want to let people know what the magic is in the magic noise. I'm a magician.
Yeah.
Of course there's a trick in there.
And you know, I've gotten emails after I've let shows air, and it's listeners saying, Johnny, mental curator, I was listening to your show and you were talking about space or sea creatures or boats, but for some reason every time the bump music came on, I was just in the bone zone. Something came.
They were grooving.
Yeah, something came over them. They were just thinking, why? What is it about boats or sea monsters or computers that turned them loose? That turned the juice loose, if you know what I'm saying.
When the juice gets loose, in let's take it all the way back to the old Starburst commercials. These children standing in a hallway. We don't know these children. They're strangers to us. Doesn't matter. It's a commercial. That's the point. They're standing in a hallway and they're eating some Starburst, and then all of a sudden the juice gets loose. And what that pretty much means is a wave of water with just floating pieces of fruit in it hit the children, and it's always in the schools. And I think to myself, if there's any wall outlets near, we're in for some serious trouble at these schools.
Yeah.
And you know what? It makes me furious.
We need to get ahead of this wave. We cannot let the juice loose in our schools. It's just preposterous.
Yes. And I think a lot of people they're marching on Congress and they're saying, look, we need to make sure that we're safer in the schools. And as much as I agree with that, I think assault-themed rifles take a backseat to the looseness of juice.
Because it's just a numbers game. It's just a numbers game. Who are on a day-to-day basis, most of us are going to be affected by loose juice than we are going to be about gunfire. And I believe in 1993 or 1994, the great poet enchanted us all with his take on this loose juice. The great Pauly Shore once said, "No wheezing the juice," and I think that holds water, holds juice. Today, right. Now more than ever. No wheezing the juice.
No, and the idea that you could just wheeze the juice, which is short. Let's break it down with the slang. Is being a weasel of the magic.
Yeah.
Okay, that's somebody who comes in and sneaky as a weasel in the night into a hen coop of what I want to say is positive youth energy.
Yeah.
They get in there, they grab the positive youth energy, they bite it on the neck, and then they drag it off to their hole and feed it to their kids. Their kids weren't cool. So when they wheeze the juice, they're effectively, I'm getting angry, man. I think
just let it out. Let the juice out.
Let's turn the tables. This is getting me. I'm getting jacked to the T on this one.
That's what the juice does to you.
It does do that to you. It does do that to you. But I guess your original question, and I'll answer that right now, is I definitely use a hodgepodge of musical I want to say instruments and little. I mean, I wouldn't call these instruments, but the tools of the trade are readily available to everyone. I would like to begin the end. I'd like to begin with the end by just stating, do yourself a favor, find the setup of your choice, whatever it be, a MIDI controller, a Mac, a PC. Maybe you're just one of those guys who wants to use like one of those digital 8-tracks, you know, if you could find one somewhere. Or maybe you're on a mini disc like local Myth, Brad Walsh. And what you're going to want to do is just focus on that and not worry about what the other person's using. And I guarantee you 900 times out of 901 times that other person is using Ableton. And you don't have to compete with that. If you like Ableton, great, but you don't have to have Ableton to get those big, huge sounds, because you know what? Those big, huge sounds are less and less and less impressive as time goes on, because everybody has those big, huge sounds.
Right.
You want magic? Nobody's going to go to a magic show where everyone knows how the trick is done. Right.
And to that point, I, as many listeners may be aware, I am into music production, but more on the technical side of it. And back in the day, when I decided to 83, when I decided to freelance as a audio engineer, which was both the best and worst time of my life.
I remember these times. We were sharing an apartment at that time, and I remember those times.
Yes, but to your actual point, I would go around to people's homes or home studios, or they'd be asking my advice on what kind of setup should they have, or they've already bought the setup, they've already paid thousands of dollars for the setup, and I was like, well, what kind of music are you trying to make? Oh, I'm just an acoustic singer songwriter, and I was like, so why did you buy $10,000 worth of recording equipment? Literally all you need is whatever you've got. Like, just get a decent condenser microphone and get like the home studio version of Cakewalk Sonar or Pro Tools or whatever, and just be off to the races with that stuff.
Let me tell you from the point of view of someone who's been on the professional side of this, as far as producers go, for a long time now. When you present a demo and it sounds perfect and clean and like untouchable, it usually doesn't get the kind of attention that you want, because these people, these producers, they're looking to shape and to mold something. Yeah. Like it's like somebody who wants to build a custom house. You take them to see a finished house, they're not going to be interested, because the whole point was they want to customize it. Right. So these people that get these crazy setups, it's like, man, go back and listen to old school, like, let's take it like old school Iron and Wine, okay? Maybe the most DIY of anything ever. That guy was purposefully recording into what I imagine was a small cassette recorder, one of those like mini tape ones, and on the microphone was just a toilet paper roll, and it sounded phenomenal. And then once you get the attention, once you have proven yourself, write some great songs, play some great shows, send out some demos, let the studios pay for the millions of dollars of equipment until you can afford to pay for the $1 million of equipment. Right. Otherwise, you're just being a dork.
You're being a geek. But not in the good way.
I tied it around.
You did. You brought it all the way around. So here's the thing, and I think you pinpointed it. Just work with what you have. Like, create. I'll put it a better way. I was recording a guy a few years ago. This is the only client I've ever had that I wound up willfully giving his money back. No one's ever asked for their money back, but this guy, it wasn't working out, and I was like, I got no problem giving you your money back. We weren't that deep into the project, but I knew it was a big red flag when he came in there saying it was a hip happer, a rip artist, and a rip rapper, and
a riffler,
the good old rip tippler. And
okay, loving that tip.
And he said, He was like, I want to sound like 50 Cent. Or that's what he said. He said, I want to sound like 50. But he could have said anything. He could have said, I want to sound like Dre. I want to sound like Eminem. I want to sound like Puff Daddy at the time, or P. Diddy, whoever. I want to sound like Jay-Z. I was trying to tell him throughout our sessions, like from the get-go, I said, you know who sounds like 50 Cent? 50 Cent sounds like 50 Cent. And 50 Cent has cornered the market on dudes sounding like 50 Cent. So let's try to find, this ties back to what you were saying, let's find your voice. Let's find your brand. Let's find your style. Because if you want to sound like 50 Cent or Jay-Z, you're not going to get anywhere, because that's already sold out. Jay-Z and 50 already have that market curb. Let's find whoever, I forget this guy's name. Let's just call him Fox. Let's find Fox. Let's make a market for Fox, DJ Fox, whatever you want to be called.
Yeah.
Let's make your brand. And you don't start that. You don't get there looking around, I would assume as a actual music producer, you don't do that by looking around saying, I want to make my stuff sound like DJ AM. He had his product down pat. You can take inspirations from bigger artists,
and that's the problem with EDM in general, and the reason that it's been, it's dying off pretty heavily. And the thing that have become successful about it have actually moved over to pop music, because they've been more original, and now pop music is, oddly enough, the least original music in the history of the world. Actually, most music is. I turned on Sirius the other day, and everybody's just going, which is all just they stole that from the New Kids on the Block. But the whole point is that EDM had the potential to do amazing things, but everybody just started copying each other, and the big names started copying each other. And you take a guy like Skrillex, for example, and you go and you look at his big, huge tracks. Now, first off, his biggest song was made out of samples produced by a completely different group called, I think it was a group called Noisia or something like that.
Ooh.
And he got countless Grammys for that. Now, the follow-up is a song that he has ghost producers on doing that sort of thing. And then if you go back and you look at all the stuff where he's been like, okay, I'm going to do this by myself, that's before he got big, it's garbage. And if you go and you listen to the newer stuff where he's like, I'm going to do this by myself, it's complete rip-offs of Aphex Twin, of Burial, of other people that kind of, he had a chance to create his own voice.
Right.
But I feel like at the end of the day, it is just 1,000 times. Hey, stop it! Sorry, yelling at the mailman again. No, I feel like at the end of the day, it's just way easier to hope and pray that you can get the attention that someone else got for something else, and it's not the way it works. I'm sorry. There's a reason that rap needed Kanye, and there's a reason it needed Kendrick, and there's a reason it needed a lot of the new dudes that are coming out. And a reason that certain rappers are getting forgotten, Can we talk about Kanye for just a second? I'm not taking it where you might think I'm taking it. I'm not taking it politically. I'm not going to mention anything specific. But Kanye is one of those guys who this is just my opinion, and you let me know your opinion when I'm done. Kanye is one of those guys who he says and does a lot of, outside of music, a lot of stupid stuff. Yes.
Everyone knows Kanye's reputation precedes him. But whenever I hear people smack talking Kanye for whatever, and what I always think and what I always say is like, what extra sucks to me about how he is outside of music is that, to me, and I'm not like a hip hop super fan. Like, I've got a few albums from back in the day, which was 1991, but I always respected Kanye's ability to make music and his ability to write and the music that he made. To me, if you blocked out who he was in the media, if you blocked out who he was in the tabloids and just listened to the music, like, the artist was great. Like Kanye
absolutely.
is good at crafting. I don't know if he makes his own beats, maybe he does, but he's a good lyricist. He is an amazing writer, and I can listen to his stuff.
He's had more stuff ghost written for him in the past, and like he was doing a lot of the beats. But you're right, he has a lot of people that he works with. But more importantly, he's kind of like the producer / DJ Diplo. Mm-hmm. There may not be an S-ton of talent there, but where there is massive amounts of talent and monstrous amounts is their capability to manage and to streamline and to bring together all these unique sounds and make them sound like they were all supposed to be together.
Right.
And Kanye has always been a master of that. Whenever he did Yeezus, I finally went, you know what, I think I'm over Kanye. And then Life of Pablo came out, and I was like, wow, this is my favorite record he's ever done. It's a very weird place to be, where you just want someone to shut the hell up so you can just keep respecting their craft. Like
right.
just
right.
And that's all I want. Like, I'm sorry, we don't have to get political about it, but like, why did he need to go on TMZ and say anything?
Yeah.
Just make some music.
Right. It's exactly.
He married a stupid woman, and I think he's tired of not being able to talk about anything at home. So that's just what it is. He's like, anybody talk to me on the TV? And they're like, sure, say something stupid. And he's like, okay. It's like when they used to write for Chris Farley on SNL.
Yeah.
It was all it was about was, let's see what we can get Farley to do. I feel like that's what society is doing with Kanye now. Let's see what we can get Kanye to do.
I think you probably pinpointed it in a way that probably not a lot of people have thought about. You know as well as that. You go home to your busty Betty, and
yes.
You're with someone who's smart, and we get to
yes.
bounce things off of them. Their minds, not their lady lumps, but their brains, because we respect their opinion. We know that they're articulate. They're well thought out.
And they're super hot.
And so super hot.
My bro.
The butt bagels are just the creamiest.
My wife has been butt bageling up and down the street since Yoga Town came to town.
so
more importantly, but no, you're exactly right. And I feel like whenever there's this trophy aspect of people like Kim Kardashian. And you cannot tell me that this is different. You will never convince me that Kanye fell for Kim Kardashian, or however it was,
for her intellect,
because he saw her more in the trophy sense. Like, people are like, power couples, like Kanye and Kim. It's like, that's not a power couple. One dude is off his meds 24 hours a day, and one person sounds like this. And like, yes, they have a lot of money, but they're like, look at Jay-Z and Beyonce. Those are people that own empires that weren't given to them by accident.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Beyonce's a trillion times, in my opinion, and please don't start emailing, a trillion times more talented than Jay-Z, but I still think Jay-Z is a trillion times more talented than a lot of other people. But that's the point. You're exactly right. You have to find somebody who is going to embrace what you have to say instead of actively changing the subject. And I feel like what he has there is someone who, if she's smart, she's actively changing the subject from his rants. But then she's just probably talking about, something that she's mad at one of her sisters for doing, or something that she wants to buy, or someplace where she wants to go.
So,
and again, I don't want to stereotype Kim Kardashian.
Right.
But she got on TV for the last however many years and let everybody know that the stereotype is 100% correct.
So
she's dumb as a brick.
So see, I kind of want to play devil's advocate to that notion. I'm gonna use Kim Kardashian as an example, because she is so much of a pop icon. People like your grandmother knows who Kim Kardashian is, and what she knows about Kim Kardashian is that she's quote unquote stupid, and she may very well be. But here's the geek therapy part of of this topic coming up. I would love to sit Kim Kardashian down, or somebody like her, another maybe celebrity who all we know of them is what is what they've presented to us in the media.
Yeah.
So I don't want to paint Kim Kardashian as being definitively stupid. It might be, she might be. But what I really want to figure out, I want to sit her down and just find out, like, maybe Kanye's not asking her the right stuff. Maybe she's really
sure.
Maybe she's
it's like you're saying. There's things about her. She may be a geek in certain territories that would be the most interesting thing in the world.
Right. Like she,
what?
Yeah.
The TV has never lied to me.
Neither has the internet.
But you're right. She's not stupid, but I do think there is a power couple syndrome.
Yes.
That exists in Hollywood, and I think that they maybe read the front page of the pamphlet and didn't go all the way in to like troubleshooting. They just saw, step one, find someone who everybody else really likes, and he's just like, I did it. Do you remember when he did that?
Has he put out anything good since he met her?
Yes.
Okay.
Twisted Fantasy was good. Life of Pablo was good. 808 and Heartbreaks, I don't know if that was during her, but I hated that. And I thought Yeezus had like one or two songs. And then Watch the Throne was really good, actually. He's done a lot of good stuff, but also let's not negate the fact that medication plays a role in that. And as smart as either of them may be, and again, you have to convince me, but as smart as either of them may be, they have allowed social media to deteriorate every last cord running into their brains to the point that if they weren't stupid, they probably are now.
I think a lot of people, I think that could be said for a lot of the general public. That kind of brings me to my next point that just popped in my head. Have you seen, there's two commercials that play, I know who it is. There's two companies that have put on commercials. Remember how South Park made that episode of, BP, we're sorry.
Yes.
That whole thing. So there's two companies right now that have those we're sorry commercials on. One was Uber. I don't know if you've seen the Uber commercial.
Yes, I have, with the the new CEO coming in and being like, we're here to help out.
Yeah,
I'm Chad Ridgeolds.
I'm Chad Bagels, and we're really going to work out the kinks in our Kegel cars.
I actually have seen that one specific, and I thought to myself, how bizarre.
Yeah. So how bizarre. But the second one was the second one was Facebook. Facebook had an ad doing the same thing. I have not seen the Facebook one. Facebook, it came on. I swear to the bagel gods that it came on right after the Uber commercial. It was
right.
Yes.
I feel like they like, if they're smart, they probably have the exact same publicist, and if that publicist is smart, he's probably like, we're not going to split them up. Let's put them one after the other so they can kind of rely on each other. You know what? Let's just make a whole spot block full of companies who've messed up apologizing. Yes. I would be totally okay with that. And right in between, donutted in between the commercials of all these companies apologizing, it's just Kanye. I was about to take it somewhere. It's just Kanye, just like, disregard, and then just goes on to the next commercial. Disregard previous. Buy my new album, please. I wonder when his new album is going to drop, and I wonder, actually, I think there is a date for it. I wonder if it's going to be polarizing now that he has come out and made. I think it's very appropriate for people to use their art to further political ideals. I think it's completely okay. You can just say what he's. You can just say what he said. Exist the way it exists right now if you didn't have something to push. You know what I mean?
Well, right. Everything you listen to from the 60s is...
Yes. From the 50s, from the 40s, from the 30s. Like, rock and roll is built on the back of oppressing black people, and I think it is totally the point of music to be able to say, this belongs to us, this is what we do, this is our anthem, this is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I am, and this is, I almost feel the same, and I can't believe I'm going to say it, I almost feel the same about Donald Trump. While I don't respect him for anything, the idea that if you were able to just focus on your art and not propel yourself with social media,
mm-hmm.
you know, people want to act like that's one of the things that drove me kind of like to the fringe of being anybody who wants to make music anymore or get attention from making music. I just hate selling myself, and I hate, you know, the trial by fire, which is social media right now, that if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you're condemned to never forget it for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so weird to me. And I think of people like Kim, and I think of people like Kanye, and I think of a world where everything that comes out of their mouth, 50% of the population are probably like me and just going, hey, shut the hell up.
Yeah.
And that has to break your brain at some point.
Yeah. There's another artist who, I'll just say John Mayer. I really like the stuff John Mayer has been making since Continuum, really. Like Paradise Valley and, what's the other one? Oh my gosh. I'm blanking out.
The one you really like. It has the word war in it.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, that one's good.
Okay. You know, okay, well, all right. He made, Heartbreak. What was that? Battle Studies.
That's what I was thinking whenever I said war.
See,
Battle and War.
Battle Wars.
Battle Wars by John Mangers.
Battle Studies. I like Battle Studies. It wasn't his. I like he's done folky stuff, more folky stuff that.
Yes,
that I'm really digging.
But I completely agree about like it's not his forte, but it was a very fun adventure going in there with him, you know.
Right, and like if he put out a metal album, I'd probably buy it just because I like hearing what he's doing with different genres of music. But back to the point of social media, I follow him on Instagram. He doesn't post a lot of stuff, but he's basically, here's what I've gathered from social media, and here's why social media is dangerous, because it leaves me, let's use John Mayer as an example, it leaves me feeling like, and a lot of us feeling like we really know this person based on their social media, and it makes you ask yourself, do I really know this person? Because here's what I know of John Mayer from social media. Here's my vibe that I get from him. He's really good at music, and I would love to be in the room and talk with him for an hour, but I probably want to jump out of a moving vehicle if I was on a car ride with, like, a car trip with him. Like after an hour, I'd be like, all right, dude, you need to shut up because it's just too much. It's too intense. Have you ever, okay, we've got a lot of stoner friends who have partaken in
real weed kind of guy.
Real smoking the reefer type of bros.
Smoking Joe Reefer bros.
So you'll be talking to them, you know, before they get stoned, you're having a good conversation, and then 15 minutes into them being really stoned, still a good conversation, and then at some point, it's not like they're stupid or anything. It's just like, especially when you're the one who's not stoned, it's like I feel it at that point. This is to throw a bone to my weed brethren. I feel like at some point it is on the non-stoned guy to either get stoned or just prepare for that conversation. You're totally right, yeah. And it's not a bad thing, but there is just at some point where someone goes to a different level than you, and this is kind of going back to Kanye and Kim. Yeah.
Where you just go, and I know I do this all the time to my wife. You just, at some point, You just lean back and hear, and I imagine in her brain just going like, "Oh, here we go. Is there any way I can get out of this conversation before it starts again?" Like, "Hey, Andy, why don't you tell me how like DJing is different now?" You know, like, at some point, you go from being a geek to being just a geek. You know,
it's like,
and that's what happens when you find that comfort level.
Right.
But to be able to create a social media personality that's as deep as what you're speaking about right now, that's an art in itself. And I feel like the problem with most social media personalities, unless you're someone like, let's say Patton Oswalt is a good example, who is just very upfront about his comedy. I feel like comedians do a great job on social media.
Oh yeah. Ricky Gervais.
But like, yeah, exactly. Like, and Ricky Gervais is a troll deluxe.
Yeah.
But he can handle it because he's a comedian.
That's his shtick.
And then you get
social media.
Yeah. I think about my brother. One of his a band that he really likes is a band called Grizzly Bear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fantastic band. And he started following this main singer, the head guy, Ed. He started following him on Instagram and just realized that like Ed's entire world is just this like elitist hipster douchebag that, and it just ruined the band. But I don't know if it ruined it for him, but like he would send me screenshots and I would look at it and I'd just be like, you know, he would just be like, "Oh, skiing in Tulum," and it's just like, "When's your new record coming out, ass?" You know, like nobody cares about, and I feel like this is where some people differ. Some people want to watch lifestyles of the rich and famous, and whatever that MTV show was where they just went into people's mansion, Cribs.
Yeah.
Some people want to watch that, and some people don't, and I guess more and more. But you know, at the end of the day, at least he's not posting about Trump, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, I literally hate Trump, and it's not for political reasons. It's because I just can't stand how often he goes back into the fire after he gets out of it. It makes me hate him as a person because he just doesn't. I just can't stand it.
Yeah.
If he was a great president and he did this on Twitter all the time, I would literally hate him. You know? But maybe that's my fault for paying attention to him.
There's, you know,
maybe that's maybe the whole problem here is that Ed from Grizzly Bear, if he's not posting pictures of them in the studio, he's probably out doing other stuff. Like for example, Tim Heidecker is 24 hours a day posting stuff about work and about what he's doing and this and that. Eric Wareheim is 24 hours a day splitting it between work and pictures of things that he's eating or social events.
Yeah.
But when you look at the fact that he also owns a vineyard and also does like food stuff, it's not weird.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I don't know.
Man, we could go off on a whole tangent about Tim and Eric. That's
a whole new episode.
Okay, let's talk about this for the last few minutes. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but this Midweek Geek is supposed to be shorter stuff. But actually, the porpy of Midweek Geek is more freeform. There's no break, and I say it's going to be 10 to 15 minutes. But
like jazz.
It can Everybody knows my name.
That's not jazz. That's not jazz.
But you can put it into jazz, and it works. Everybody
knows my jazz.
Everybody knows my. What is that? What is that instrument you have?
Well, I might have a little instrument in my lap because I thought maybe it'd be fun to sing a song together. But probably not.
Here, play the note one more time. Keep playing. Keep going. Keep it going. Everybody told me I never have a show, but I'm here on the radio. Talking to my dude. We're talking on the radio about some good
problems in life.
Oh. Take us home. Take us home. Oh no, girl, are you okay? Are you okay?
I fell down. I'm sorry. Fell down and I hurt my funny bone.
Ooh.
Okay, speaking of funny bones, let's just get right back into it. What were we talking about?
Kanye's butt
Michael
or
J.
something.
Fox.
Michael J. Fox. Kanye.
Let's talk about Michael J. Fox for a minute.
Should we?
Nah.
Should we talk about Michael J? That's kind of a shaky subject.
Oh no!
I love Michael J. Fox. I want to meet him.
Oh,
That's it.
I am such a fan of people like Michael J. Fox, who, and I don't want to be one of these guys who says, "Oh, he's so brave, he's a hero," because I mean, he is, but
Right.
I don't want to like lavish praise on him for that when you can lavish praise on the fact that he is a comedic genius. And
Is he?
He's a tremendous actor. He always knows really good roles to take, and I'm shaking my head like a lie because I'm thinking of Spin City right now. I just don't even know what to do there. But but the point
Everything was good.
I don't want to celebrate him for the terrible things he's gone through. I want to celebrate him for his amazing career.
Right.
Have you seen The Secret of My Success? It is such a terrible movie, and it's perfectly good.
It's so bad, it's good.
You know how when you go to Taco Bell, okay? You're going to get
right.
number 6.
Let's talk about the Bell.
Quesadilla. Yeah, we're going to the Bell. We're getting a quesadilla combo. It's not a good quesadilla at all, but it's a phenomenal quesadilla at the same time. The tortilla is store-bought, obviously. The cheese is very yellow. It has some weird sauce on it. You ask for some meat, and they give you some strips of meat product. But at the same time, just like Jack in the Box tacos, you're gonna eat the whole thing. You're gonna have a great time. Gonna lick those fingers. Gonna lick them clean of all the make and the mess.
Well, speaking of licking fingers, Randy, I do have to go. There's things happening at work right now that require all 100% of my butt's attention. Speaking of Taco Bell,
Okay, let's circle this back around. I'm probably not going to listen to this because I don't want it to change what I think of myself.
I don't want my opinion of myself to change.
I don't want to do that to myself.
Right.
Johnny, it's been a fantastic time talking to you. I'm sorry that we went in a million different directions. I would love to come back. Thank you for asking. You're just you're one of my oldest, dearest friends, and I love you more than man could love a man. It's
okay for men to love each other more than men previously were allowed to love each other.
Yes,
so I am perfectly happy being at that happy heterosexual middle point with you, to where I don't want to I don't want to do stuff with you like that you do with your wife. But I'd still put my head down.
But it's not off the table. Like, what I'm saying is, I don't want to do those things to you, but if I knew they were important to you, I'm a good friend.
You'd be up to have an open conversation about it.
Yes, absolutely. You and I have never crossed any boundaries, and I still have seen you naked in my life maybe 10,000 times. And the boundaries, that's a lie. We've touched. We kissed once.
Have we kissed?
Yeah, I think so. There were tips involved.
Well, I'm not going to rule it out. It's okay either way. Maybe I'll have you on the show again and we'll do more kissing on the air. But
whispering and sinning. That's what. I would like to actually do a plug for.
Yes, plug all your stuff.
Called Whispering and Sinning.
Yeah.
It's a call-in show where you call in and you tell your sins, but you whisper them, so it's like a secret. And I don't judge. I don't judge at all. You can just say it, and then we'll move on to the next call.
The new podcast, Whispering and Sinning, with Andrew Hoke, where it's
a perfect podcast.
You whisper your sins to him, and he doesn't judge you. It's kind of like confession, but for millennials.
It's confession if you are okay confessing it to the world.
Yes.
And I think when you whisper it, it's harder to hear. So there's that little bit of a safe zone there. But the reality is, if you turn your speakers up, you're going to be able to hear just fine. And so you're going to want to make sure that those speakers are down.
Okay.
Otherwise, people are going to really find out about it. Anyway, it's on 7 to 7 on KLBJ in Austin.
Yeah.
It's a 12-hour show, but you know what? People sin. It's every Sunday, starts at 7 p.m. and ends at 7 a.m.
Yes. So you can catch him there and whispering and sinning. Andrew, whispering and sinning. That's a different show. But that's the other 12 hours. That's from 7 to 7 on the other side of
the whole point is
clock.
from the other 7 to 7 is when you do the sinning that you report on the following 7 to 7.
Right. Randy, Andrew, Bird, thank you for being on Midweek Geek here on Geek Therapy Radio.
Thanks for having me, sweet man.
You are my brother and arguably my lover.
And I know your name.
And you knew my name. Thanks for being on, man.
All right, talk to you later.
Goose.